Hello? Excuse me, I cannot hear the meeting. Could
All
you
right,
please?
can you hear us now?
Yes, I can hear now. Thank you
Okay,
so much.
great.
Yes, so
Perfect. So would you like to share your screen so you can start your
sure,
presentation?
sure. Let me just give me a few minutes.
And while she sets that up, again, I apologize for any of the technical or audio issues.
Yeah,
We're
sorry.
still trying
Yeah,
to get adjusted to this new layout.
sure. Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you, and what
Okay.
I'll do is I'm going to make sure that we can see your presentation. So give me a second. All right, so everyone should be able to see your slides, and we can hear you. So please begin, Ms. Maya.
Okay, good morning, Chair, Commissioners, Executive Officers, and members of the public. My name is Maya Magai. I'm an attorney and project manager for Surveying by Right, the court-appointed receiver for Big Basin Water Company. Although I joined the firm relatively recent, I devoted considerable time to reviewing the receivership files, understanding the history of the matter, and becoming familiar with the operation of the water system. I am here to provide you the update of the receivership and the status of the proposed consolidation with San Lorenzo Valley Water District. Here's the agenda. I'll try to be brief. First, I'll provide a short overview of the receivership, and then we'll discuss the current status. As many of you may know, our firm has served as court receiver for Big Basin for two different receivership. First, it was the drinking water, and then it was the wastewater receivership. In June, several months ago, the wastewater receivership was successfully concluded. The wastewater treatment plant was transferred to Santa Cruz County, and the court receiver was discharged. As for drinking water, it's a much more complex matter, and as a court receiver, we have a goal not just to stabilize the system, but also implement a transfer of ownership to a qualified, reliable owner. Just to provide some context, Big Basin is a small privately owned water system that serves approximately 540 connections in the Boulder Creek area. Back in 2020, the CZU Lightning Complex fire destroyed the surface water treatment plant, and the system transitioned to groundwater. When our firm was appointed for this receivership, the system was failing. There was less than $500 in the company's banking accounts, and the customer were regularly subject to boil water notices. Service interruptions were frequent, and the water company was unable to provide safe and reliable drinking water. Consolidation with the San Lorenzo Valley Water District has been regarded as the most viable long-term solution, and the court receiver consistently worked to advance that objective. However, at the beginning, the district was reluctant to pursue the consolidation due to the overall failing condition of the water system and the lack of funding to support the consolidation. Funding was one of the primary challenges here because the median household income survey determined that the Big Basin community did not qualify as disadvantaged. The system was ineligible for several traditional funding programs. However, despite the obstacle, with the assistance of Santa Cruz County, the court receiver was able to secure grant funding from the Department of Water Resources. That grant funded feasibility study for the Big Basin, expansion study for San Lorenzo Valley Water District, as well as crucial system improvements such as new pumps, motors, frequency, um, uh, we could implement the SCADA remote monitoring, refurbished generators, old storage tanks were replaced with poly tanks, and approximately 350 service connections were mapped and digitized.
I can't hear her. Can we turn up the volume, please?
We will increase the volume.
Thank you.
Can you hear me now? I'll try to move closer. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so with the granting funds, we were able to implement some capital improvements, and that allowed us in 2025 not to rely on San Lorenzo Valley water intertie. So we were able to meet our own water demand from its own supply. So currently, Big Basin no longer depends upon the San Lorenzo Valley intertie for day-to-day service. Although significant progress has been made towards stabilizing and improving the water system, it still needs to achieve full regulatory compliance. Accordingly, we consider that consolidation with San Lorenzo Valley remains the most viable long-term solution for Big Basin. A few months ago, in June, the State Division of Drinking Water, with a collaboration from San Lorenzo Valley Water District, conducted the first part of the sanitary survey for the drinking water system to evaluate its condition and operational suitability. And following that survey, the San Lorenzo Water District decided to move forward with the consolidation. We exchanged official letters of intent and formalized our shared intent to move forward with the consolidation. As for current status of the project, earlier this month, the state assigned a technical assistance provider to support the application for funding from the Division of Financial Assistance, which would finance the consolidation. Court receiver participated in the initial project discussion with the representatives from the Division of Drinking Water, the Public Utilities Commission, and Sunbelt engineers, during which the parties discussed the project scope, objectives, and anticipated next steps. Finally, with respect to timing, the proposed consolidation continues to move forward, and we remain committed to the process. While it's too early to provide a firm completion date, our next steps are the submission of DFA application, the funding award, and the completion of the required regulatory approvals. That's a short update for today. So I thank you for the opportunity to provide it, and I'll be happy to answer your questions now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Maya. And I just want to first, I really appreciate the update. The discussion about potentially moving forward with consolidation with the water district is consistent with what the commission published a few years ago under the governance options report that we created for Big Basin Water. We identify a number of options that some required LAFCO actions, others didn't. One of them was potential consolidation with San Lorenzo Valley Water District, which is also consistent to what the commission conducted a few years ago when you modified the water district sphere to include Big Basin Water. So it's substantially surrounded by this public water district. So logically, it makes sense. Now, it all comes down to money. How much is it going to cost? Where the money's going to come from? And that's always been the biggest hurdle. So the fact that there may be a funding source available to help offset the costs under this consolidation, I think I give kudos to the court receiver for being persistent on looking at options. And I also want to extend my appreciation to San Lorenzo Valley Water District for even being open to the idea. Now, it does sound like there's going to be, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be a long process. But one of the biggest hurdles is just having the affected players at the table willing to explore the idea. So I think that's kind of just shows the proactiveness of the court receiver. So I just wanted to extend my appreciation to Ms. Maya and her team on moving this forward. Chair, this is an informational item, so no action is required. But as Ms. Maya said, she's open to answering any questions. So I'll defer back to you.
Are there any, I'll open the floor to public comments and see if there's anybody here to speak on this item.
Thank you. And ma'am, thank you for increasing your volume. That helped a lot during your presentation. My name is Becky Steinbrunner. I've had a long time interest in local water issues, and I've been watching this one because it sort of could set a precedent for what happens in other areas of the county, maybe not under such duress as what Big Basin has experienced, but nevertheless, consolidation of small water companies with larger ones nearby. So my question is, what level of public outreach, town hall meetings, or whatever is happening? I have attended a couple of those in the past, and there was great concern among the people about what it would cost and also the water quality. So what is the level and frequency of public outreach, other than just having information on websites, actual town hall meetings? And how is the water quality now that the intertie is no longer operational? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for, yes, thank you for the question. And based on my reports that I get from our operator, Cypress Water System, the quality, water quality is completely compliant with the, and it's above the quality that is required. So we don't have any issues with the water quality right now. As for funding and for the future town halls, on April, we closed the grant funds, and we unfortunately do not have any additional funding for Big Basin. So now we are trying to make our operation more efficient. So far, we are not planning any town halls in the nearest future just because we are concentrated on getting this move forward. But maybe the next year we will have a town hall, probably in, I'd say, maybe early spring or late winter, where we will have more data to share with the public. And I also would like to mention that Court Receiver received an official letter from the Big Basin Initiative group that also supported consolidation with a signature of about 150, or the signature list is still open, but that showed me that the customers of Big Basin are also willing and supportive with support the consolidation.
Great. I'll defer to you, Chair.
Not only the water quality, but what about the volume for firefighting, fire suppression? Is that adequate?
So for currently, we have sufficient water for day-to-day operations. As for fire reserves, we still rely on San Lorenzo Valley intertie. That's why we are trying to proceed with the consolidation. So we, just based on the information from the last year, we never used this intertie for our day-to-day operations, and we were able to cover the demand with our own groundwater supply. But I'm not ready to answer, like, the fire compliance is still necessary. So we need to rely on San Lorenzo Valley in that question.
Okay, so are there any other public comments on this item? No? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close the public comment and open the floor for commissioner questions. Are there any questions from commissioners? Does this require a motion?
No, no action is required.
Okay, so then we are, and this item is completed, and we'll move on to public hearings. It looks like there are no public hearings in the agenda today. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, so now we're on to the next item, which is fire-related projects.
Just give me 1 second. I want to make sure that I'm showing the presentation. Ms. Maya, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
All righty, so we are now on item 7A. So there is a lot of fire-related news to provide to this commission and to the public. So I'll begin with Felton Fire, since I see some Felton Fire residents. As you know, LAFCO is tasked to provide assistance wherever we can to make sure that residents are getting the best level of service possible. As you recall, when the commission noticed that Felton Fire was having some issues with their fire chief and providing services, LAFCO produced a governance options report similar to what we did with Big Basin Water. Again, just to be part of the solution. Under that report, we identified some options for them to consider. One of them was to, if they wanted to be sustainable, maybe consider additional funding. We also laid out possible reorganizations with neighboring agencies. So based on that information, Felton Fire was very proactive. They understood that the status quo may not be sustainable, may not be the best way to provide services to their constituents. So they looked at the options. Initially, they were going to consider a parallel approach where they were going to look at a potential reorganization, but also look at an additional revenue source, an assessment. Eventually, Felton Fire and their staff and the community, in a sense, they decided to focus their attention on just an assessment. So they did a study with SCI. They had multiple meetings with their residents. They had a mail-in election, and it passed. It was for a single-family home, I believe it's around $700 a year. It's very difficult to pass any type of special tax or assessment in today's economy, but this just shows the unity that the community has. It's not an expense to the community, and I don't want to speak on behalf, but this is my perception. It's an investment. They're investing into their fire district because they see the value in local control. They see the value of keeping their fire district in place. So that passed with, I believe, almost a 70% approval. So that is such a great success story, but I also want to give kudos to the community, the residents that are very vocal on really understanding what's going on with their agency. So I feel like they're more experts now in local government and fire districts because they really wanted to understand how do we get to this point and how can we fix it? How can we address it? I also want to extend my appreciation to the Felton Fire Board, including our commissioner, Jim Anderson. It was not easy. I was not in the hot seat, but I was observing, and it was difficult to see those board members really get a lot of questions and concerns from the residents. But they stayed poised, and they wanted to make sure that what they did was best for the community. So I'm very pleased to announce that assessment passed. And now Felton Fire doesn't have to worry about LAFCO for a while because we're not here to bug them. We want them to succeed, but my joke is always we just have a funny way of showing it. But Felton is in good standing. I also wanted to note that they are searching for a full-time fire chief. Right now, they were operating with a part-time temporary fire chief. It's my understanding that they've conducted interviews for finalists. I don't know if they've announced who the full-time fire chief will be, but that's something that's going to happen very soon. So again, Felton Fire is heading in the right direction, so I'm very pleased on their recent achievements. The next item in your staff report is in regards to a potential study involving the city of Santa Cruz, Central Fire District, and Scotts Valley Fire. Earlier this year, those three entities were exploring the idea of hiring an outside consultant to look at shared services, ways to partner and find economies of scales and cost savings. They initially invited LAFCO to be part of that process. And they brought it to their respective boards for approval to move forward with hiring an outside consultant. That did not come to fruition. I recall Central Fire had some reservations, so that was placed on pause. When we conducted the countywide fire report that was approved by this commission at our last meeting in June, that included a recommendation to direct staff to coordinate with those three entities and see maybe this special study does have value and is warranted, but maybe LAFCO will take the lead. So after that meeting in June, I coordinated with the three entities. I met with their fire chiefs, and at least at the staff level, they were open to the idea of conducting this special study with LAFCO taking the lead. The next step is for them to take it to their respective boards. So your staff may be making future presentations to their boards to get approval. If those three entities support this special study, then we may bring it back to this commission for action of sending out an RFP and hiring an outside consultant to, again, do the special study with those three entities. So that's the latest news on that effort. And then the last one, and we have representatives from PB Fire, is what's going on with the Pajaro Valley Fire Protection District reorganization. As you recall, back in our June meeting, we did get a request from a constituent requesting that an additional feasibility study be conducted. That's something that your commission saw that it may be warranted, but you directed staff to coordinate with the affected parties, specifically the county and PB Fire, to see whether or not they wanted to conduct an additional feasibility study. So after that June meeting, I did meet with those two entities, and they determined that a feasibility study was not supported or warranted. And that was for three reasons. One, they conducted a similar analysis under the SCI report that PB Fire produced. Secondly is the two entities with LAFCO's assistance, they conducted a 5-year assessment, a 5-year projections analysis that was adopted by this commission at our last meeting. And third, there is a plan for service document, which is a transition plan. It shows the before and after. So in other words, the two entities, the affected parties, indicated that there's information already there. They don't see a need for an additional assessment, or additional feasibility study. This study is not required under LAFCO law. But again, this is something where your staff wanted to pose the question to the parties. They decided not to move forward with that. So that does not interfere with the LAFCO process. Based on all that, I did provide an updated timeline in your staff report for this proposed reorganization. So a lot has been done, but it's still deemed incomplete. There's still some items missing. Two of them being a will-serve letter from the county indicating that they're willing and capable of providing services should this reorganization come to fruition. And second is a property tax exchange agreement. It's my understanding that the county will be bringing those two items to the Board of Supervisors at their next meeting next Tuesday, August 11th. Your staff will be there. If those two items are approved by the Board of Supervisors, we still need to coordinate with the affected agencies to see what else is missing, maybe conduct another community workshop. But at some point, assuming we get all the items that we're missing, we'll present it to the commission for consideration. And I provided an updated timeline that may occur by the end of this year. But again, there's still a lot of steps that we need to go through before this actually comes to the commission's consideration, for commission consideration. And also we want to make sure that the residents are fully aware of what the next steps are. So we're continuing to provide information to the residents, also provide an update to the commission. So again, there's no action required for this board today, but there's a lot of moving parts for these different fire related projects. This is an informational item and I'm happy to answer any questions. So that concludes my update.
Thank you, Joe. Now I'll open the floor to public comment. Is there anyone from the public that would like to comment on this item?
Good morning, commissioners of LAFCO, Executive Director, Mr. Serrano, staff, and community members. My name is Liz Taylor-Selling. I am the vice chair of the former organization Felton Community for Emergency Response. We've now closed that. But on Friday, the 24th, as Mr. Serrano pointed out, we witnessed an amazing outcome in Felton. The property owners in the Felton Fire Protection District voted in agreement with the Felton Fire Protection District. They affirmed that having a local, independent, community-sustained fire district was worth the cost, and that the other options were inadequate for the folks in Felton. The final vote exceeded our hopes and expectations with a clear mandate of over 67% of the voting property owners. Now, as we move forward from this important success, we continue to support the visionary plan for Felton Fire that developed over the last couple of years. Felton Fire is in the process of hiring a chief as Mr. Serrano mentioned. Our Citizens Oversight Committee is that oversees the funds that are part of this assessment is forming, and board elections are coming up. So by the start of 2027, we hope to see Felton Fire Department on stable ground, looking forward for the foreseeable future. This result could not have happened without the community's support. The hours, expertise, and money that were given in order for us to get the job done were simply amazing. We thank the organizations like LAFCO and the fire agencies that assisted us in researching and understanding the nuances of the fire service. This was essential to our promotion of this assessment. So we just wanted to come, give you a check-in, and thank you for your help, and look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. You must have practiced that because you made it just in 3 minutes. Are there any other public? Okay.
Yes, Becky Steinbruner, I hope that you also accept online public comment. I know there are some that are wanting to speak. My name is Becky Steinbruner. I'm a property owner within CSA 48, Santa Cruz County Fire Department. I want to first point out that the Fire Service and Sphere Review did not address islands within County Fire. The area where I live, Redwood Drive, is an island. We are served by Central Fire District. We should be part of Central Fire District. So there's more work to do on that report. I want to also say that there was no discussion of Santa Cruz County Fire moving to an independent district, and I'm very eager to hear more about that. I want to now pivot to Pajaro Valley Fire District because I've been watching that for a while. And I'm concerned that there's been no proof to really verify that the amounts that assessment amounts that the people in Pajaro Fire District would be assessed under Santa Cruz County Fire are verified, are just, and are fair. That was the purpose of Mr. Jarvis's imploring your commission to have that done. Are they justified? Are they appropriate? Are the costs reasonable? And we don't know because the study has not been done. The analysis that was given in, I believe, November was very cursory. Those amounts did not include in the CSA 48 2020 special benefits assessment. It did not include assessments on the land. That assessment does assess land. So many of those numbers are not right. And in fact, there are some, such as a roadway, Hawthorne Avenue, is being assessed. A road is being assessed. While a vacant parcel of roughly the same square footage is not assessed. There are a lot of issues within CSA 48's assessment rules that need work in all respects. I would like to ask, the district plan for services does not include links to exhibits A through F. That is critical information. I would like to ask that also there be a Pajaro Valley Fire Advisory Committee added into this. That's what happened when Brent's 40 and Scotts Valley merged, and it was incredibly important for the people of that area. I see no discussion about the Watsonville City Fire Agreement.
Time's up.
Thank you. I hope to hear from Mr. Jarvis, and I hope that you all read his and Mr. Craven's correspondence. Thank you.
Okay, please. Are there
We do have
other?
We request online from Don Jarvis, so I think it's
Okay.
appropriate to ask him to speak.
Okay, that'll be next. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Don, we're asking you to unmute your microphone.
Hi, good morning, commissioners. I'm Don Jarvis. I'm a resident and property owner in the Pajaro Valley Fire District. Also a retired fire chief and formerly your LAFCO fire consultant. I want to renew my call this morning for independent, objective analysis of the Pajaro Valley Fire District reorganization project. This is primarily about the costs associated with the project. So I'm going to remind you that LAFCO has a policy. This is policy 3.7, and it states the following. In order for LAFCO to approve a change of organization, the proponent shall demonstrate that the subject services can be provided in a timely manner and at a reasonable cost. So the part of this that we have not discussed and can't demonstrate is reasonable cost. There are some things that we know. We know that the cost, the price tag for this project is $4.4 million a year. We know that that is driven by $1.8 million in new assessments on property owners within the Pajaro Valley Fire District territory. What we don't know is if these are reasonable costs, because there aren't any comparables. The Pajaro Valley Fire District did compare costs to Watsonville Fire Department and Central Fire District, but we're not receiving services from either of those agencies. We're receiving services from CAL FIRE. So how does $4.4 million for one fire station compare to the other costs in CSA 48 on a per station basis? How does it compare to the $3.3 million in CSA 4 Pajaro Dunes? Well, for that matter, how does it compare to 100 other CAL FIRE staffed local government fire stations in counties across the state? This $4.4 million number is driven by revenue, not by expenses. And there's been no discussion about what is an appropriate level of expense to provide service to our fire district. As for the plan for service, you'll note in there under costs, there's no information about expenses. It's all about revenue. So in short, I ask you, please authorize an independent third-party objective analysis of the costs of the Pajaro Fire District reorganization project. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Don.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public wanting to speak? It looks like there is. Please come up and state your name. Let us know who you are.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'm Dave Martone. I'm the Chair of the Board of Pajaro Valley Fire.
Is
I
the
just
mic
need,
on?
I needed to address, sorry, I just post-surgery. I'm like,
Oh,
our board voted unanimously to move forward with CSA 48 merger and not spend money on a consultant recommended to you by a resident of our district. This has been an 8-year process, and after 2 Prop 218 and 1 tax override attempts, followed by over a year of committee and town hall meetings, it's evident to this entire elected body that our best option is to move forward. I want to be clear, it's our belief that this reorganization with CSA 48 is the best move for long-term fire protection and emergency services for the South County. We're not tired, wimping out, or caving to some stated bias. This process has been fully transparent, and our full board has been engaged throughout the process. The Santa Cruz County Board of Supervisors is poised to issue a will-serve letter at their August 11th meeting. We do not feel delaying that approval will serve the best interests of the residents of the district. Delaying for another study would drain the district's dwindling resources and, by my calculations, take a year, followed by another year to implement recommendations that we strongly believe would still lead to a CSA 48 merger. By then, we will have run another 2 years with less than adequate staffing of 2.0. Additionally, there are no guarantees that the county letter will be available after a delay, especially after all the work we've done to get to this point. We are convinced that a merger will enhance fire protection and the depth of services for the residents in a way we could not achieve as a one-station department. even if the residents had passed the second Prop 218 for 208. While it's true that CSA model has higher rates for single-family homes and lower rates for ag and commercial properties, it was the ag and commercial vote that sank our Prop 218 a tenth anyway. I don't see that changing. In fact, Barl Valley residents will be paying exactly the same rate as the overwhelming majority of CSA 48. Excuse me. We were elected by the residents to make these tough decisions. While you can't please everyone all the time, our board unanimously stands by this difficult decision and urges you to vote in the affirmative and move this process to the Board of Supervisors. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Martone.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Madam Chair, I do not see any hands raised on Zoom, and nor I see anyone in the audience that would like to speak.
Okay, so I will close public comments and open the floor to commissioners. Yes. Sorry, Justin.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, staff, for the presentation, for all the folks who are here today, make comments. Starting with Felton Fire, I just want to congratulate you all on passing the benefit assessment. Really excited to see this moving forward and look forward to hearing how things progress over time. With the fire MOU between Scotts Valley, CSA 48, and the city of Santa Cruz, I'm just wondering how much is the cost going to be borne by LAFCO in terms of the hiring the consultant, and how does that differ from if they had moved independently on hiring a consultant on their own?
Good question, Commissioner Cummings. The initial effort earlier this year was going to be everyone has skin in the game. So each affected agency, including LAFCO, would consider a portion of that expense. With this approach, that's a good question. And I think this is why we have a budget line item for professional services, and we've used it in the past for special studies. So we do have funds earmarked. Now, if we do get support from the affected parties that they want to see the special study, LAFCO will take the lead. We'll bring forward the item for commission consideration and action. I'll propose the estimated cost and see whether or not the affected agencies also want to have skin in the game. But under this effort, it would be something that LAFCO would take the lead for the expenses. But again, we do have a budget line item for these particular special studies. But again, it'll be up to the commission if you want to move forward with that approach.
Great, thanks. And since we're not making a decision today, we'll be able to revisit this at a future meeting. I guess to the Pajaro Valley item, I'm just wondering if you could respond to some of the comments that have been made by some of the folks who had issues of concern.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. This is something where your staff and this commission has been consistent. When we faced the issue with Branson 40 Fire a couple of years ago, your staff provided options to that fire district, and we encouraged them to look at a parallel approach. And that's what they did. They looked at additional funding as well as a reorganization. The residents did a mail-in election. They voted against the assessment. And so we moved forward with the reorganization, and that was successful. Now the Branson 40 community is part of Scotts Valley Fire. We took that same exact model with Felton. When we saw that they needed some type of assistance, we provided them options. We encouraged them to look at a parallel approach. Initially, they considered that, but then they decided to move forward with the assessment. And again, LAFCO supported them throughout the whole process. We're doing the exact same thing with PB Fire. We provided them options. They looked at them. They initially considered a parallel approach. They hired SCI to look at the costs for the assessments. And the board unanimously determined that it was not cost efficient to move forward with the assessment. So they decided to focus on the reorganization. And again, LAFCO did not force them to go either way. We supported on their decisions because at the end of the day, and you've heard me say this before, LAFCO can't force an agency to reorganize or to pass an assessment. We can provide assistance, we can provide support, and whatever decisions that affected party or those elected officials decide on doing, then LAFCO will do its best to be part of the solution. So While I do see residents, or at least two, requesting this additional feasibility study, at the end of the day, I need to defer to the elected officials. And if they decided not to move forward with it, I can't force them to do that. And another key component is the county, CSA 48. They are willing to assume this new responsibility. I can't say whether or not they would be willing a year from now if they do decide to move forward with assessment. And if it passes, great. If it fails, we can't just assume the county will be like, okay, well, we waited for you, now we'll move forward. Things may change. So the fact that the county is willing to assume this responsibility, PV Fire wants to move forward with this. LAFCO is, again, I'm going to defer to the affected parties, and they decided to move forward without this additional feasibility study. And I will note to the commission, there is information out there. So it's not like this is being done in a closed door. There is financial information. In fact, at our, I believe, February staff update, the staff report includes a side-by-side comparison of the CSA 48 assessment total per parcel. So any resident of PV Fire can look at their parcel and they could see how much it'll cost to be under CSA 48 and also versus the discontinued PV Fire assessment. So they could see hypothetically what the cost would be. So that information is out there. So again, LAFCO staff has been consistent on supporting the affected agencies. The information in regards to PV Fire is available. We also have a dedicated web page on our website with that information. So this is a transparent effort. And I will note that LAFCO encouraged PV Fire to conduct at least 2 community workshops, one in person and one virtual. We conducted that. Again, it's not required by state law, but we felt that we needed to ensure that the residents were aware. So PV Fire is being very proactive on being transparent. Again, they're in a difficult position, but they are determining their future. They're representing the communities. And as LAFCO staff, we're there to support as best as we can.
Great. Well, I just appreciate the follow-up on the comments that were made, and just want to appreciate as well Pajaro Valley, the fire board, and the tough decision that you all have made, and it's pretty clear based on the comments that were made today that while I'm sympathetic to the residents who are impacted, there's been a lot of effort to try to be transparent, to engage with the community, and to try to move forward in a way that's going to benefit the greatest number of people in the community. And so I hope that some of the impacted members can continue to engage, and hopefully there's some opportunities to make changes when appropriate, or to try to shift when necessary. But I just want to appreciate all the information that you all provided today, and that it helps clarify the situation and how we're going to move forward, and the role that LAFCO plays in this process. So that concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cummings. Jim Anderson, are you interested still in?
Yes. I first of all want to thank the community group from Felton that were instrumental in our successful. They went door to door and put out a lot of information, flyers and stuff. So thank you very much from the Felton board. As far as the Pajaro Valley, it was something that was used in the conversations off and on about what they were going through and stuff. And one of the things Mr. Martone just said was that, the agriculture was probably what voted them down, and it would get again. So I'm guessing that was kind of the thought process for going with the CSA 48 instead of another 218 ballot. But in the process in Felton, the word transparency has come up here many times, and transparency is a big, in some times it's just a catchword, but we were accused of lack of transparency repeatedly. Even though for the last 8 or 9 months, our board meetings are all Zoom, they're all in the evening. We had town halls, we had everything, and still we were accused of lack of transparency. We did hire an independent consultant besides SCI to basically give confidence to the community that the numbers that we were proposing were validated. I believe it cost us under $2,500, and it only took a month or two to get it, because this whole process from start to completion was less than a year. So, I mean, I know they're different things, but the people that are paying the money are the ones that, really need to understand this. And, they all have recourse, they have all kinds of challenges, legal challenges and all that. And so the Felton Board just wanted to be as completely transparent as we can. And, thank you very much to LAFCO for the efforts that they put forward in their reports and stuff. And to be honest with you, I think sometimes that was a challenge for us because people looked at that and said, oh, well, you're not doing that. And, and the fire departments are a closed community. I mean, we've all worked together. And what I found in this campaign, let's say, was there was a lot of out-of-district comments that were very negative about the whole process, and it didn't even affect them. But, there's going to be a lot of work to patch that up. And if we could do something that's quick and easy, that might add to the community's comfort level, I could support it, but I understand it's been going on a long time and there's no guarantees. They'll say no guarantees in life about anything. But just for what it's worth, we did that and we were successful in our 218.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Lonnie?
Thank you. Board Member Martone, it was great to actually get your perspective and hear that. I just want to clarify for myself and for community members, from what I'm hearing is from the letters, we've heard from Becky Steinbrenner, Don Jarvis, and others, that their concern is not to move in a different direction away from partnering with CSA 48, but in fact to evaluate the costs for residents. That's what I'm hearing is the difference there. And hearing the perspective of time, I think that time is money. So it is important to weigh that out. I think Board Member Anderson has spoke to other potential short-term studies that might be low cost. So I think that's worth looking into if it supports the residents and the clarity for the residents, just making sure that we are as transparent as possible. Thank you.
Any other commissioners interested in? Seeing none, the recommended action is to direct staff to continue coordinating and assisting the affected fire agencies. Is there a motion?
So moved.
The motion is moved by Commissioner Cummings and seconded by Commissioner Koenig. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, so we can move on to the next item, which is the CALAFCO update. This is a living drama, right?
Thank you very much. I will keep this brief. Our next annual conference will be in Sacramento. It's going to be in October. Chair, you mentioned drama. It's actually starting to settle down a little bit. CalAFCO is starting to get into a groove. I'm happy to report that LAFCO is back as a member, as well as some Sonoma LAFCO.
How about Napa?
Napa is, I have a bit of insider news that may happen sooner rather than later. Nothing official yet, so Napa may be coming back. So I think seeing LA LAFCO coming back is going to start a domino effect of other ones that are not members to come back to the association. So that's great news. In the meantime, we're focusing on the membership. There's an annual conference coming up. Your staff is going to be well involved. We're part of the planning committee. We're going to be on 3 separate sessions. One of them is going to be the LAFCO One game show, which was a hit last year. So we're bringing that. It's going to be Jeopardy themed this time. So I encourage commissioners to join, which kind of leads to my next question is, as part of the staff report, we do need to identify at least one voting delegate and an alternate because there was going to be an election. at this conference. It's almost like a reset. So all the board of directors, including your executive officer, I'm a board member for now. It's going to be a reset. So each region is going to vote for 4 representatives. And it's no longer based on your seat. So it doesn't need to be a county seat, a district seat, public seat. It is any 4 elected commissioners or executive officers per region. So that's going to be a very significant election. So we need to make sure that we identify a voting delegate. So my question for this commission this morning is there anyone interested in attending that workshop, that conference? Perfect. So I see Commissioner Jim Anderson, I see Chair Rochelle Lather. Your staff is going to be there, so technically your executive officer can also be a voting delegate. But between the 3 of us, I would recommend that this commission identify a voting delegate and an alternate for that election in October. There's also other items in your staff report, including 2 potential nominations for awards for this commission to consider. One of them is the President's Award. I believe that's for the very successful partnership between Placer and Santa Cruz LAFCO. As you recall, earlier this year, we entered into an agreement with Placer LAFCO to provide them recruitment services. So your staff was the recruiter. That one was very successful. The Placer Commission was very happy and pleased with the outcome. They were able to hire a seasoned LAFCO veteran to be their new executive officer. And I really think that that could be a model for other LAFCOs, that we can really utilize our expertise instead of hiring a recruiter that may be very expensive. LAFCOs around the state can provide that same service at a cheaper cost and more efficiently, because we know exactly what we're looking for when it comes to executive officers. So I think that warrants a nomination for that President's Award. And then the second award, it involves government innovation, and your staff is nominating the Selco Creek Water Group for the Renaissance High School. That has been years in the making. Recently, were able to get grant funding for the connection to the Residence High School. As you know, they have contamination in their water. This commission approved an ESA a few years ago, and now that working group has been very proactive to get to this point where now they have funding and that actually can get that construction completed. I think that effort warrants a nomination. So in your staff report, staff is recommending that the commission approve those 2 nominations. Your staff is also requesting that you appoint a voting delegate and an alternate for the election in October. And I believe there's another recommendation. As I mentioned, there's going to be an election for representatives for each region. We're in the coastal region. I would like to continue being a board member on CALAFCO. I think it's very crucial to have staff on that important seat. I was appointed by my peers to be the representative of executive officers on the CALAFCO board, and I think I would add value continue being a board member. So I am asking the commission to consider nominating me for the board seat. So one of those 4 for the coastal region. So those are the recommendations. Chair, that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do we have to write a letter or put together? We just have to approve it and then it goes to them?
Correct.
For the nominations and everything?
Yes. So there are forms that we fill out. So if I get direction from the commission for example, the awards or my nomination, I would just fill out that form representing what the commission took action today.
Okay, thank you. Any commissioners want to speak on this item?
I would nominate Rochelle as our voting delegate.
I was going to nominate you. Okay.
I guess I'll be the alternate.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good to me. I have it on my calendar. I was planning to ask to go, so.
Great. So we'll work on registration and hotels, so we'll coordinate offline, but I see Rochelle Lather as our voting delegate and Jim Anderson as our alternate voting delegate.
Okay, that's great.
Do we need to nominate?
You can just if someone can make a motion for staff's recommendations for all three, you can do it in one.
Can I just ask, do we need to go to public comment?
Oh, we do.
Oh, the public left the room. Is there anybody on the online?
No one online, Madam Chair, and I don't see anyone in the audience.
Thank you.
I'll move approval
Justin.
of recommended action.
Second.
Motion for approval by Jim Anderson, a second by Justin Cummings. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So it has passed.
Thank
'Cause
you.
unless there's somebody against. I didn't ask. Okay, now we can go to the legislative update.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is Chair. This is me. It'll be fast. Your staff, along with CalAFCO, support from CalAFCO, we've been tracking LAFCO-related bills in this year's legislative cycle. Earlier this year, we presented a bunch of them. Right now, we're down to 4 that we're tracking. These include SB 1312, which is in regards to abandoned cemeteries. CalAFCO has taken an oppose unless amended position. And then the second one I wanted to highlight was SB 1439, which is our annual omnibus bill. And it includes a provision to extend a deadline so that Imperial LAFCO can complete its municipal service review of the Imperial Valley Healthcare District. Right now, they're scheduled to complete it in 2026, but we want to push it a year to December 31st, 2027. During the break, your executive officer submitted a letter of support. It is included in your packet. And this is just an informational item only, Commissioners. There's no action required. And that is the conclusion of my report, Chair.
Thank you. Is there any public comment? Seeing no public present, we will move to the commission. Anybody on the commission have any comments or questions? Okay, so then we'll move to the next item.
That's me again, Chair. Thank you very much. In your report, you'll see a detailed report for the comprehensive quarterly report, but I'm just here to give you the highlights for the fourth quarter, which includes the months of April to June 2026. As of June 30th, 2026, Santa Cruz LAFCO has one active file, and that's the PV fire reorganization. And as it was mentioned before, the Board of Supervisors will take action on August 11th. 2, in the quarterly report, you'll find a summary of the municipal services that are scheduled to be presented to the Commission this year. We have one more, which is scheduled in October, and that will be the Comprehensive Parks and Recreation Service and Sphere of Influence Review, which will be led by myself. So that'll be in October. And then number 3, we wanted to let the Commission know that at the end of the fiscal year, Santa Cruz LAFCO only incurred 69% of estimated costs. So we're doing our very best to be efficient and cost effective. And finally, during the months of April and June, your staff attended or participated in over 40 meetings with partner agencies and members of the public, and that included learning the new Workday system here with the county, which lets us submit payroll and benefits and all this other great stuff. Chair, that concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions. This is an informational item only. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone from the public interested in speaking on the comprehensive quarterly report? I see none. So any commissioners interested in have any questions? Okay, so we'll move on to the next item, which is written correspondence.
Madam Chair, we did not receive any written correspondence, so we can move on to the next item.
Okay, so that is press articles. Are we?
And that's just some articles that we felt may be of interest to the Commission, but no actions required.
There were quite a few.
There was quite a few.
I was reading through them and I was like, okay. So the next item is commissioners' business. This is an opportunity for commissioners to comment briefly on issues not listed on the agenda, provided that subject matter is within the jurisdiction of the commission. Are there any commissioners with any information that they'd like to share? Seeing none, I will move on to adjournment. So the meeting is adjourned until September 2nd.
Thank you.
I should have done it louder.
Yeah.
I take care of them. Send it.
Oh, that's right. Gotta get back there for. 2:00. All right. Yeah, I gotta get caught up on all the emails and reading and stuff since we had the July break. It's back to the grind, so.
Yeah. My professional career, if I took 2 weeks off, for whatever reason, I just came back. Work for 12-hour days, couple of weeks.
Yep.
I get literally 300.
Yeah.
I have a kind of planning
Right.
systems to move them and stuff. That was a job in itself.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Have a good day.
Yeah, you too. It's good to see you.
I can. Okay. Heads up. Thank you, Chair. Alrighty. Really appreciate it. Alrighty. Yeah, absolutely. I'll follow up with you. Give.